for Soup with Substance. And Substance is a weekly program that highlights social justice and peacemaking topics over a simple lunch of soup and bread, and our sponsor for the soup is Campus Ministry. Carolyn Swabeck is director of the Trinity Fellows Program and a core team member of Ignatian Yoga. Swabeck will speak about the work of Ignatian Yoga and invite participants to practice simple yoga mixed with Ignatian meditation. Ignatian Yoga is a collaborative ministry of Jesuits and lay people that integrates the spirituality of St. Ignatius of Loyola and yoga philosophy. Participants are invited to experience God's presence through movement, personal and communal prayer, and spiritual conversation. And now I'm going to hand things over to Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It's really wonderful to be invited to share this time with all of you, and thanks for joining. Just, virtual meetings and housekeeping, I ask just for sake of echo, if you could mute your microphone if it hasn't been muted already, that would be great. And I want to invite us all to just begin with a little simple breath to ground us all in this moment. So if you could find your seat wherever that is, maybe you're in a chair on the floor, and feel yourself just being supported by the chair. Maybe your feet are on the floor, and maybe your arms rest gently in your lap, palms up, palms down, or maybe together. And if it feels comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes, or you can just bring a soft gaze down the bridge of your nose. And take a moment or two just to settle, let your shoulders relax a little bit away from the ears, and notice your breath as you inhale, letting the belly expand, full deep breath in. And then on your exhale, let it go through your nose, completely releasing all of your air. And continue this slow, deep breathing. And imagine as you inhale, you're taking in all of the energy, the light, the goodness, the support that you need at this time. And as you exhale, you're releasing anything that doesn't serve you, anything you want to let go of, any stress that might be physically or symbolically weighing on your shoulders. And the breath is a really powerful tool to kind of bring us back to center, bring us back to ourselves. Not all of us have the time to have a daily yoga practice even. We might be chasing kids around or parents around or running from virtual class to virtual class. So if you ever feel like things are getting a little too much, you can always come back to the breath, and slowing the breath down and extending the exhale is a great way to drop into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where we rest and digest, the opposite of fight or flight response. So with all of that said, let's take an inhale together. Inhale deeply into the belly. And then I invite you to exhale to the count of 4, and I'll count with you. 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale deeply into the belly. And then exhale to the count of 5. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhaling deeply into the belly. And exhale to the count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale deeply into your belly. Exhale to the count of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And last big breath together. Inhale deeply. And exhale to the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And just take a moment to pause and notice if anything shifted energetically or otherwise. And then when you're ready, I invite you to slowly open your eyes And as we begin today together, I just want to share a grace, I think, that is a helpful reminder for the current reality that we're in. So as I stay home, please help me also use this time to work on my internal home. May I grow more loving, more compassionate, more empathetic. May I strengthen my resilience, my fortitude, and my ability to see calm and stay calm. May I find the patience to see my way through this. So we're here to talk about Ignatian Yoga, which some of you might have been introduced to already. I'm going to share a little PowerPoint with all of you to keep me organized. Go. So yes, as Amanda mentioned, my name is Carolyn. I'm the director of the Trinity Fellows program here at Marquette. For those of you who are not familiar, the Trinity Fellows program is a graduate fellowship that develops leaders for social and economic justice. So every year we welcome a cohort of 12 fellows in different master's programs at Marquette. And all of these fellows are placed at nonprofit or public organizations in the city of Milwaukee. So they have this experiential learning while they're going to school, which in a lot of ways is very Ignatian. And throughout all of this, we build in a lot of programming to focus on, leadership, so many different models of leadership, and then unpacking social justice and using their experience to really shape what that means for them. So we have 15 fellows actually graduating in a few weeks virtually, and we'll be welcoming our 21st cohort in the fall. So I'm an alum of the program, and so it's a great honor for me to be part of our students' journeys and connect them to all the wonderful resources at Marquette. I'm also a student of yoga, and I'm also a student of Ignatian Spirituality. So I became a yoga instructor in 2016, and I've been teaching pretty much locally for the last 4 years at different studios. And then as I was going through the spiritual exercises, which if you're not familiar, I'll explain a little bit when we get into this. As I was going through the spiritual exercises, I was just discovering a lot of connection points from my yoga practice and what I was exploring internally. And I thought, Ignatian Yoga, what a great idea. I wonder if anybody's thought of that. And I Googled it, and yes, people have thought of it. So I connected with the team, and it's been almost 2 years since I've been involved. And right now we're a volunteer-led collaboration, as Amanda mentioned. And right now we're pretty much leading retreats. We led our first virtual retreat that ended last weekend. There's probably going to be more of that now that we see that the summer may not be a time to get together in large groups, but and then I've been offering a few workshops and classes in Milwaukee. Our team is scattered all throughout the country. So good to be with all of you. Just as a reminder for most of you, or sharing some information really briefly. I could spend hours talking about Ignatian spirituality, but to break it down into maybe its most important points, Ignatian spirituality is about finding God in all things, being a contemplative in action, so really grounded in embodiment and experience. Discernment of spirit, so as you go through your life, noticing where God is calling you or where you're feeling pulled, and spending time discerning or maybe in conversation with God to see, which direction is honoring the truth. The freedom and detachment. So as the theory is that as we become detached from, worldly pleasures and more focused on our relationship with God, that freedom builds. And then this is the kind of, catchphrase for the Jesuits, ad majorem Dei gloriam, or the greater glory of God. So that is the end, not the end goal, but the focus of all of this is to do work for the greater glory of God. And what is yoga? So here are some images that some of you might associate with yoga, the chakras, an exercise class at a gym. I don't know where this photo came from, but, a very limber man with a foot behind his head. So these are all images that may or may not contribute for understanding of what yoga is. Some descriptions of yoga that tie into the, foundational texts. So the Yoga Sutras is the foundational text of yoga, and it defines yoga as the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, which may or may not jive with what you think yoga is. So for many of us, we think yoga is a series of postures that helps us to build strength and flexibility, maybe, lose weight or find a sense of calm. But this is, yoga is a cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. So it really focuses on how we can separate the movements of the mind from the truth. The Bhagavad Gita, it defines it as skill in action, which I think is quite connected to contemplatives in action. And then union of the individual soul, the true self, with divine spirit, and to yoke, or to unite. So these are just some general descriptions of yoga. And I'm not going to go very far into this, but there's actually 8 limbs of yoga. So the asana, the postures, is actually one of 8, and it's the third. So it starts with yamas and niyamas, which, roughly can be compared to the commandments in some ways. So restraints that you should do, observances that you should observe, asana, breath work, withdrawal of the senses, pratyahara, dharana, intense focus, dhyana, state of meditation, and then the ultimate end goal is samadhi. So union with the divine, union with oneself. So again, we could spend a lot of time talking about this, but just for context, there's a very vast and deep tradition of yoga as a spiritual practice. And then how do we bring these two things together, right? Like, you might be picking up on some things, but really how do they combine? And we're really intentional about honoring the deep traditions of both. So we don't want to make anything simplified or make connections that aren't really true to each tradition. So on the Ignatian spirituality side, the union with God is a huge focus. On the yoga side, union with self, the ultimate reality or truth. So self not being your body, but that soul within you. Contemplative and action, and in yoga there are concepts sthira and sukha, which are effort and ease, and how do you find the balance in between those? God realization, self-realization. God and self could be compared and contrasted. God's will is how we act in the world, and dharma on the yoga side. What's our duty and our purpose, not just to ourselves, but to our global community. And then majas and AMDG and movement inward. So where is our focus? The inward focus, so that we can act more wholly in the world. So what is Ignatian Yoga? This is the core team. So really it grew out of a lived experience of students of both traditions who are also starting to see these really beautiful connections. So Bobby Carley is a Jesuit in formation. He'll be ordained as a priest in Milwaukee next year. And he co-founded this with Alan Harris, who's a master teacher and a yoga studio owner in Michigan. And then I came on board about a year and a half after they had begun laying the groundwork for Ignatian Yoga. So I'm based in Milwaukee, obviously. Pat Cassidy is based at Loyola in Baltimore, University of Loyola in Maryland, Baltimore. And he's another core team member, really strongly focused on social justice and inclusion. And then Nikki Steinmetz-Nelson is a Marquette alum. She lives in Port Washington, and she is the only paid employee that we have. And we can only afford to pay her part-time, but she's been an incredible addition to the team. So again, bringing these two traditions together in dialogue with respect and integrity, an exploration of how both can deepen and nuance our understanding of spiritual life. And we are a collaborative ministry of lay people with support from the Midwest province of the Society of Jesus. So that's, I guess, the logistics of how we came together. And most of our work is focused on right now developing retreat programs, but we're hoping to expand in the next year or two. And this is just I think, helpful to help everybody understand what we're trying to do. So we're trying to suggest ways yoga can support your spiritual and or religious journey. We're not trying to create a new style of yoga. We're not trying to initiate you into a tradition or sell you anything. We're not here to help you get buff or lose weight or convert you to Catholicism or to become a yogi or replace your therapy. We don't see ourselves, we're humble students, so we don't see ourselves as experts on all of these things. I'm certainly no theologian. We're not here to encourage you to make radical changes or force or pressure you to reveal your secrets. We want to create space to slow down and reflect and help you discover how God might be communicating with you, helping you discern how you can live your life more fully. And from time to time, we'll dialogue with experts in the fields of yoga, Ignatian spirituality, and faith traditions. In the virtual retreat we led over the last 5 weeks, we brought in a lot of different scholars to kind of give their take on how these two traditions can come together. And a lot of our resources are available online on our website and YouTube. So if you're interested, please check them out. And lastly, these are the 4 foundations of our organization. So spirituality, community, social justice, and embodiment. So here's just some ways you can stay connected with us. Our website and Facebook are probably the most active places that you can engage, but we're also very responsive to email. So please feel free to email us at ignatianyoga.com, or you can reach out to me or, meet with me, hopefully in person soon at Marquette. I'd love to explore these things with all of you. So thank you very much. And I will end this slideshow now. All right, cool. So now I'm going to invite everybody, we're going to transition to the practice. So if you have a mat, you can head on over to your mat. If you don't have a mat, this is a pretty gentle practice, so you won't really need it. And I'm going to head back. Well, also welcome to my living room / yoga studio / office for the last 6 or 7 weeks. If you see any toys from a 1-year-old, that's life. All right. So coming onto our mats or the floor, find a comfortable seat wherever you can, cross-legged if possible. And since we've moved, again, taking a moment or two to settle into your body, settle into the space, letting our minds change from taking information in to really experiencing this practice and embodying this deep internal balance and internal work, coming to our internal home, which I think is a really lovely image. So if your legs are crossed, you can gently bring your hands to your lap and roll your shoulders back a few times. And then close your eyes if that's comfortable and drop your chin to your chest. And then just let your head sway from side to side a few times. Left ear over left shoulder, right ear over right shoulder. And maybe pause for a breath or two on either side, just letting the neck lengthen, the jaw relax. And then switch. And then slowly lift your chin back up. And then with your hands on your knees, just roll your shoulders back a few times, lifting them up to the ears and then dropping them down. And then reversing, so bringing the shoulders forward, up to the ears and down. Nice. And then with your next inhale, sweep your arms over your head, bring your palms together, maybe your gaze comes to your thumbs, and take a moment just to touch back in with your internal home as you exhale, hands to your heart. And let's repeat that. Inhale, arms up to the ceiling. And exhale, hands to heart center. And one more time, inhale. And this time, exhale your right hand down to the mat as your left arm reaches up and over. Try to keep your feet grounded down on the floor of the mat. And maybe roll the chest open slightly, bending elbows as needed. Gaze can go up or down. Inhale, reach both arms up, and exhale, right hand or left hand down, right arm reaches up and over. And again, rolling the chest open, maybe gaze lifts or lowers. Inhale, both arms reach. Exhale, right hand down, left arm up and over. And then bring your left hand to your right knee. Right hand comes behind you like a kickstand. Inhale to lengthen spine, taking your time. And then exhale as you twist over to the right. And maybe your gaze goes over your shoulder, or maybe you bring it forward. Just pause here for a breath or two. With every exhale, maybe going a little bit deeper into the twist. And then coming back to center, keeping your left hand on your right knee, cross your right hand over your left so that your hands are at opposite knees. And then bend your elbows. You can bring your hands to your shoulders and give yourself a hug because we all need that right now. Or backs of hands together or fronts of palms together, whatever is accessible to you. We're looking to create some opening and space in the shoulder blades. So maybe you feel some sensation between the shoulder blades and the upper back. And just pause here, trying to keep the spine lengthened, chin lifted. And then with your next inhale, reach your arms up and over. Exhale, left hand down, right arm up and over. And then bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind you like a kickstand. Inhale, tall spine, and exhale, twist. And as we go through this practice, I know it's helpful to have a guide visually on a computer, but I invite you to close your eyes or tune inwards. We spend a lot of time on the screens these days, and if you can follow along just by hearing my voice, or if you want to do something different, that's fine. So staying in the twist for one more breath. And then cross your left hand over your right. So again, opposite hand, opposite knee. And then bending elbows, hands to shoulders, backs of palms, fronts of palms, whatever is in your practice. Taking a breath or two here. Nice. And then slowly release. One more inhale. Reaching arms up. And then on your exhale, walk your hands forward in front of you, coming into a gentle forward fold. Keeping your seat grounded, feeling free to round into the spine. Maybe rock a little from side to side, dropping chin to chest. Really noticing how your breath is allowing you to expand and release. And notice what's arising as you go through this very simple movement. So now we'll move to hands and knees if that works for you. So if this is a comfortable place for you, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. You can always put some blankets or cushions under the knees if you need to. And we'll start by flipping the palms so that your fingertips face back to your knees. And if you can do both hands at the same time, or you can alternate one and then the other. But again, since we're spending a lot of time on our computers, typing, perhaps this, from a physical standpoint, this is a really nice stretch for the wrists and the forearms, especially if carpal tunnel is a risk or a fear. Not that this will cure it, but it can certainly help relieve tension in this area. So you can stay here, maybe start to lean back if you're looking to deepen this a little bit. And then if you haven't switched your hands, you can go ahead and switch. So flipping one palm again forward and the other to face your knees. If both of your hands are flipped, continue to stay with the breath. And can you be with sensations as they arise, maybe what you wouldn't consider pleasant sensations, maybe uncomfortable sensations. All right, and then let's flip our hands back forward. And moving into Vidalasana, also known as cat-cow, which is just a wonderful thing yoga has to offer us. So on your exhale, press the floor away. Press your spine up as you drop your head and tailbone. On your inhale, roll the chest forward, lift head, lift tailbone, shoulders drop away from ears. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. And go through this a few more times with your own pace and breath. And then when you're ready, you can come back to a long tabletop spine. Tuck your toes underneath, and as you exhale, press your hips up and start to press your heels down towards the mat. Your knees can stay bent here. Hands are rooted, arms are strong. And maybe you find some movement in the legs, or maybe you just bend deeply into the knees here, reaching hips high to the ceiling. And then press your left heel down as you bend deeply into your right knee. Just pausing here. And then switch, pressing right heel down, bending deeply into left knee. And then pressing both heels down evenly. Staying here for a few breaths. You can always drop the knees if this is not a comfortable place for you. And then bending your knees, look forward between your hands and start to walk your feet up to your hands. Feet are about hips width distance, maybe a little farther. And exhale, bend knees deeply and fold. You can grab opposite elbows. You can trace circles or half circles on the mat around your feet with your hands. Maybe grab the backs of your calves or the toes, whatever works for you. And if you have a hold of your elbows or your toes or anything, you can release them. Bring your hands down to your shins or maybe the mat. And inhale, halfway lift. The spine extends out, crown of head forward. Core is slightly engaged here, so belly button pulling up towards spine, shoulders back. Exhale, release. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale. On your next inhale, slowly roll your spine up all the way to the top. Head and chin lift up last. And inhale the arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, circle your arms. And exhale, open your arms out wide as you hinge from hips and fold. On your inhale, lift the chest forward and step your right foot back, coming into a lunge position. Your hands can rest on the mat. If you have books or blocks or anything that can help you lift, that's fine. And if it's comfortable, you can drop your right knee and untuck your right toes. Options to stay here with hands on mat. You can walk your hands to the top of your thigh, or you can inhale and lift the arms up. Pausing here for another breath or two. Again, just noticing what's arising. Trying not to judge. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat. Tap your right toes to lift your right knee if it's not lifted, and step your right foot forward.
Yeah. Well,
inhale, halfway lift.
League in Gmail. And look for Microsoft Lincoln.
Hey guys, I think your mic's not muted. I can hear you. Inhale, halfway. And step your left foot back, finding that lunge. Lowering the left knee down if that feels okay. Placing your hands where you want to, so on the mat, on the thigh, or inhale, take the arms up. Staying here for another breath. And then exhale, hands come down. This time, sweep your right knee back to meet your left. Feet toes come to touch, knees can open wide. Sink your hips back to your heels and then extend your arms forward, coming into child's pose, Balasana. Now you can create a little pillow with your hands, or you can extend the arms long, whatever works for you. And pause here for a few breaths, maybe letting your chest drop down to the mat, allowing your hips to release, maybe coming back to your breath. And then slowly start to walk your hands to your knees and roll over onto one side and then come up onto your sit bones again, and we'll meet with our feet together in bound angle Baddha Konasana. So your feet can be close to your pelvis, or you can extend them far away, whatever feels comfortable for you. Hands can come to shins, ankles, or you can interlace your fingers and wrap them around your toes. So taking a deep breath here, extending through the spine, and exhale, bend your elbows out as you start to fold forward towards your feet. And again, staying here for a few breaths. Once again, inhale to come up. Bring the soles of your feet onto the floor. Make sure you have some space behind you to lay down. And then you can, walk your hands back and roll down, or if you're looking for a little core engagement, you can extend the arms forward and pull your belly button towards your spine. Scoop the belly as you roll. Slowly, all the way down. And once you arrive on your back, just let your knees drop from side to side, windshield wiper, as we like to say. And then walk your feet a little closer to your sit bones. Inhale your right knee in, and then cross your right foot over your left knee. So you have this figure four shape. You're welcome to stay or inhale. Left knee in towards you, wrapping arms around thigh or shin, or reclined pigeon. And then release. Uncross your feet and bend your left knee into your chest. Cross your left ankle over right knee. Feel free to stay here or inhale. Right knee in towards you, wrapping hands around the thigh or the shin. And gently release, uncross your feet. Walk them a little closer to your sit bones. Bring your hands down alongside your hips. Gently tuck your shoulders underneath to expand through the collarbone. And by pressing energetically into the feet and the backs of the arms, start to lift your pelvis up towards the ceiling, finding bridge pose, Setu Bandha. Maybe you can roll your shoulders a little farther underneath. That's in your practice. Maybe you can interlace the fingers and press the hands away, keeping your gaze central and focused, keeping the breath slow and steady. And then slowly release the hips down and inhale, bend both knees in towards you, wrapping hands around the shins, and maybe just rock gently from side to side or find stillness. From here, open the arms wide into a T or goalpost arms, and then let your knees drop over to the right into reclined twist. Maybe your gaze goes in the opposite direction. And again, how are you connecting to that internal home? What is arising for you right now? Inhale, knees through center, and then exhale, drop them over to the left. Baby gaze goes to the right. And then inhale, knees come back to center. Release the feet onto the floor. And from here, we're going to go into a very brief Shavasana or relaxation pose. So your options here, you can just bump the feet out and bring the knees together, or you can extend the legs long, arms out to the sides, or even bring the soles of the feet together. But find a place that's comfortable. You can even grab pillows or blankets if that sounds good. And again, just notice anything that came up for you, any shifts of energy or thoughts or focus. Excuse me. And as you continue this practice of embodiment and awareness, feel your body growing heavy on the floor, letting the muscles relax, the bones settle. And starting with your feet, bringing your awareness to your feet. And then the legs, noticing if you might be holding tension. And allowing that tension to dissipate. Coming up to the hips, allow them to grow heavy. The abdomen, the organs of the abdomen, the front, the sides, and the back. Letting your breath expand. And then coming up to the chest and the shoulders, a place where we often hold a lot of tension and stress. Where can you let go? The arms, the hands, the palms. Releasing effort here. And then the jaw. Relaxing your tongue. Letting your eyelids soften. Feeling the back of your skull on the floor. And gently tilting your chin towards your chest. And when you're ready, start to bring some movement back into your hands, your feet, your arms, and your legs. Maybe bending your knees and bringing the soles of your feet back to the floor. Gently roll over to one side and take a moment in this posture of birth, of rebirth. And then come to a comfortable seat, maybe back in your chair or continuing to sit on the floor. And we'll go through a very brief guided meditation together. So again, giving yourself time and space to settle and acknowledging any feelings or emotions or thoughts that might be arising right now without judgment. I invite you to call in light or grace, divine, God, whatever speaks to you, but become aware of the presence of this greater being, greater entity, and acknowledge the movements, the events of the past few days this week. You know, the peaks, the valleys, challenges, opportunities, bright spots. And in this moment that we're all in right now, this moment of social distancing and quarantining, how are you maintaining your connection to your faith, your connection to your friends, your school, your colleagues, yourself? And what connections are you feeling grateful for? And what connections help you feel grounded? And then consider the connections that you have taken for granted. Maybe using the ability to be in proximity physically versus now we are unable to do this. What has been taken for granted in this moment? What have you been realizing? Where do you feel disconnected? What has this made you aware of personally, as a part of a community, part of a family? And as you go through these questions, again, become aware of your emotions, of your thoughts, of whatever is arising without judgment, just allowing what is to be. And trying to listen to that inner voice as you become aware of where you're feeling pulled or drawn. Giving yourself a little bit of space to discern the difference. What is the most prominent? What is the thing that is continuing to pull your attention? Just stay with it for a little bit longer. And without forcing it, just let it be what it is. Perhaps let it unfold. Knowing that we all have the ability to create and imagine a new way. So what is a way that you can create or maintain meaningful connection to important people or groups of people in your life? Or maybe not people, just connection to whatever is important to you. How can you maintain that connection? In a new reality that forces us to think beyond what we're used to. Taking a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and come back. So traditionally at the end of our retreats and workshops that we hold, we like to invite anybody to share the graces that arose, the insights that they may have received, or anything at all that came up. I'll also invite questions. So if anybody has thoughts or questions or things that they'd like to share, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to type them in the chat room too if you don't want to disturb this peace and quiet. Thank you. Well, if somebody was going to speak, feel free. I might have heard something. All right. It's harder to facilitate conversations on Microsoft Teams. But I want to close with a Mary Oliver poem, just to kind of honor this time and space that we had together and continue to explore how we can find embodiment in a time where we can't physically be with one another. I think a lot of our energy comes from being with others. And so when we can't physically be with others, how do we go inside to find that energy and that resilience? So this poem is called When I'm Among the Trees, and it's one of my very favorite Mary Oliver poems. But I could probably say that about all of her poems. So when I am among the trees, when I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness, I would almost say that they save me and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, stay a while. The light flows from their branches. And they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. So thank you all for sharing this space and time with me. I wish you the best, and Christ's peace and namaste. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Griffin.
Thanks, Carolyn. Thank you for being with us today and walking us through that. It was really a wonderful way to kind of start our day, and a good way to kind of actually end Super Substance for the year. This is our final Super Substance until the fall. I'm going to send out a link. Actually, we just made a Super Substance cookbook because since we're virtual, I know everyone's been cooking at home and the soup has been lacking here at Soup with Substance for a couple weeks. So there are some soups from some of our presenters, their favorite recipes that you can take advantage of over the summer and in the future. Yeah, look forward to seeing everyone in the fall, and thank you for your time. Again, Carolyn, have a great day.